because that that's the only point that they bring us into the equation is bondage is what the brother's saying. So they don't want, and I understand that, listening to Dr. Quasi last night, I understand now why the Christian or the Roman Catholic or any other religious institution at this time, they don't want us to venture into our history prior to them invading the land of Africa, because it's going to show where they get all of their stories from. So why would they start the story out in Africa, showing us as a thriving nation? So I believe that, it could be a part of the propaganda. I don't, like I said, I didn't get to see it yet for myself, so I can't say, hey, they are trying to go back and depict what happened to us in a more accurate way. So I can't make that judgment right now.
Okay.
But I think I understand where's the brother coming from. Especially when he's talking about the labels as black, Negroes, African American. Those are adjectives. All of those words are words, descriptive words. And we do have to do more research in, the tribal names he was speaking of. We can go into more in depth and see, the origin of that and that and that and all that. But speaking of roots, like I said, I just, I plan to see it this weekend.
Okay.
I just.
Well, we got to go on with this for a while because last week we started talking about culture and identity.
Yes.
And we had a call in with the question of the farm and the land and asking about the difference between and which one was more important. And I think we left off with a serious question that took us to relationship. But real quick, what we saw in this last group, in terms of relationships, the relationship between male and female, black people, Africans, were on track, intact, loving, caring, and harmonious. That's what we saw. And we didn't see, and even when the series closed out, we still saw that. And the history books say that when our people, I'm going to say Africans at that point, reached the shores of America, they were running to and fro, looking for their loved ones. So let's try to tie every caller into the subject matter today. We're talking about African Americans, relationships, male and female primarily, coming out of the home. Do we have a caller, Isaac?
Yes.
Come on in, caller. Yes, sir. Doing good. Thanks for your call. Okay. Yeah, I saw that part. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh. Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. Well, yes. Mm-hmm. Pack like sardines in a large can. Yes. Oh, okay. All right. Hey, thanks for your call, Brother Omar. Do call again. Jeffrey, when you look at African American relationships, and when you compare what you've studied from your sociological perspective, and you look at our relationships today, what is the comparison and the contrast?
I appreciate the question, Brother Wallace.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me on the panel once again. I really appreciate the opportunity. And I think that's a good question to kind of follow up what we were talking about last week. And me and my brother Lonnie, along with you all, did get a chance to go see Brother Ashra Kwesi yesterday. And I just see everything that he said to be all relevant because even when it comes down, when it trickles down to relationships, male and female relationships within the black community, it is going to be. I mean, in the reality now here is that it is not too many marriages happening. It's a lot of broken up families, and men and women who don't seem to get along together the way that they should. But I think that's all a result of us. How can I say? It's all a result of us not looking back further enough to look at our ancestors and how they view relationships and the relationship between male and female and masculinity and femininity. Here, unfortunately, in this Western civilization, it seems that we've taken all the values and all the rules and all the norms and of our oppressors and forgotten about ours. So, as it comes down to relationships, when you have a perspective or a worldview where you have a white man at the top and at the very center, well, what does that do to the person who is the direct opposite of a black man, of a white man, which is a black woman? And so I do recall Brother Kwesi saying this, reiterating what I've heard Dr. Ben say more than once, and that's heaven is between the legs of a black woman. And I think Brother Baruti said last week, where there's a king, there's a queen. And also yesterday I remember Dr. Kwesi saying, where there's a God, there's a goddess.
Okay. And I find that what Dr. Kwesi pointed out on yesterday's event, that his presentation led up to the rearrangement, the disconnection of the family, which is key in that breaking up the relationships and causing strife and disharmony between the black man and the black woman that led to that. Now, you pointed out something that Omar just pointed out, Book Omar called, and said that many people, our African Americans, don't want to go back and dig deep enough. And how are you going to proceed with accurate and critical information if you don't have the courage, the intestinal fortitude to dig deeper, Lonnie? How is the question? No, not never, ever. You will continue to remain a Negro, never ever gain rightful ownership. Do we have a caller on the line, Isaac?
Yes, you do.
Come on in, caller. Hey, Mr. Pianki. Doing fantastic. How are you? Help us out here. You what? Oh, blacktastic. That sounds great, man. No, we're gonna go around Memphis saying black-tastic. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Go ahead, help us out. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So we have. Hold on before you go. Key points to me that you made: education and marriage, and that relationships establish a connection that lead to marriage, which is a contract. But now you said something about job, and I've listened to your previous presentations on previous shows and previous times. And I'm surprised that I did hear you mention, you being a businessman yourself, entrepreneur, that you didn't mention encouraging people such as yourself and myself and us on the panel, businesses. You know, a while back you said we need businesses, Wallace Redd. Come on. Okay. Okay. But let me ask you this, then I'm going to let you go. More of us who are business persons, self-made, self-taught, preparing ourselves, we can therefore employ our own people who are not necessarily interested or qualified in running their own business. Is that right, Mr. Pianki? Okay. Okay. Okay, you added another point to it, which there's going to be 2 discussions for us down the line. But I'm going to let you go. Not today, but we're working toward it. And be prepared to hear us on YouTube as we extend to at least 1 hour after we go off from this segment here, Bianchi. But we're going to discuss the Africa-Asia question and the other point that you made. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but then you also mentioned there was another point you slipped my mind, but we're going to try to dig some more into what we have today. Thank you for your call, man. Do call back. Okay. Do we have a call?
No, sir.
We don't? Oh, okay. All right. All right. Where's that? Where's my sheet? Okay, who's on? What would be the beginning process of reestablishing, rebuilding our relationships?
Let me go back a step. And before I do it, let me say that this segment of the show is brought to you in part by Best Solutions Insurance. If you need insurance for your family, yourself, your children, your loved ones, if you need family expense coverage, funeral expense plans, or family life insurance and dental plans, whether you have good health or bad health, whether you have diabetes, cancer, COPD, heart problems, even HIV, give us a call. 901-239-1555. That's 901-239-1555. We are affiliated with over 50 insurance companies, including Gerber Life, Metropolitan Life, Prudential, Mutual of Omaha, and many, many more. Transamerica, many, many more. Give us a call, 901-239-1555. Let's get to the question that you just made.
Well, I want to back up.
Yes.
I know what it was that he said.
Okay.
Bianca said, he talked about traveling to Africa, which is a good point. Though you don't have to travel to Africa physically in this question, but he talked about the generations and generations of being far removed. And that when we talk about culture, that the culture is American culture. This is what Bianca just said. So I have some thoughts about that, but I want to hear what you have to say, and I think we've got a call. So that's what it was. Hey, y'all forgive me for that slow down in time. But it was pressing on my brain. I had to bring it back up.
Let's look at why it is American culture. Because when the Chinese come over here, they have Chinatown, and they retain Chinese culture. When the Hispanics come here, they have Little Mexico, and they retain Mexican culture. And as I'm coming to this radio station, I'm driving down Jackson Avenue, and some of the signs in front of the business, all of it's written in Spanish. I don't understand any of it, because they're not trying to attract me into the business. They're trying to attract their own people there. And that's the way they operate. But because of who we are and what we've allowed to happen to us, America will make you learn American history. You can't graduate high school unless you pass American history. And when you go to England, you must learn about the Jewish Holocaust. You can get your high school diploma in England without passing a course on the Jewish Holocaust. We don't have any requirements you learn African history. There's no requirement for it, and we haven't demanded it. There was a lawsuit against Shelby County City Schools under Dr. Talib Muhammad when he was on the city council. And they had a settlement that they had to teach African history inside the school system. It never happened. They claimed they couldn't find textbooks that were sufficient to do it. It never happened. But we need to demand that we learn our history instead of just in the month of February, sometimes 28 days, sometimes 29. What we should do is we should learn African history the entire year and give white people the month of February so we can learn their history about George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and all the other white folks that beat us up and did wrong to us. We need to put it on an even scale. And we need to do that for at least 450 years like they've done us. 450 years of learning their history. Then we can get our history back, know who we are, not just African history, but the history we had before we went into slavery. All the way back to the pyramid and beyond that. Now, when you look at what is called Africa after white men and real Afrikaners, or what we call it Asia, may not be relevant because if you go back beyond Africa, the whole planet was not even called Earth. It was called Asia, the whole planet. And at one time, they used to refer to it as Asia Major and Asia Minor.
Right.
And that's why some scientists consider this the Asiatic black man,
Right.
not because he came from Asia, but because the whole Earth was called Asia.
So, and that is why you say it's not relevant today.
No, if we in trouble, we need to get the hell out of here.
Right. So therefore,
what you call it?
Therefore, it is important, Lonnie, that as a people, we not just have the stomach to dig into our situation and how and why we got there. It is important to understand where we are in time and space and govern ourselves accordingly. Now, this American culture, in terms of relationships, let me ask you this. When we see a lot of conflict and chaos in relationships among our people, grown folks too, old folks too, and young folks too. So if the grown ass folks and old ass folks are going to be tearing on like this, what are the young folks going to do? The exact same thing, is that right?
Exact same thing.
So now, if you get into a discussion, you're talking about a young lady who's attracted to you. But you're not approaching her just because she's attractive, or she may have a wide rump, right? You are going to approach her to discuss the situation that we perhaps find ourselves in. The history, the nature, and the scope, and the brutality that took place in our presence, in our historical situation. Is that right? So that we can have businesses, so that our children will be intelligent. Does that make sense to you, Lonnie? Expound on that. I think we've got a call, but you first, Lonnie.
It makes perfect sense. And I'm going to tell you the truth. To me, that's the most beautiful woman I can find is a woman that is sincere and really cares about her people. She's not caught up in today's fashion, and she's more concerned on our black children. I wanted to say this. When we talk about this American society, American culture, and how it relates to the black family. And I wanted to say the reason why you can find older black families and younger black families, you don't see a lot of it, a lot of marriages sticking together or whatever. Now you see the black woman she's one of the highest non-married women out there, right? But the reality is the available black men that are out there by the time their marriage is extremely low. That they are targeted. We are targeted from the day we were born. It's almost like the story of King Herod when he wanted to kill all the young boys under a certain age. That's how when I look at our history, when I go back and analyze our history from slavery to now, it seems it's a war on the black males especially, and the images that are shown to us, our black boys are not seeing any strong black men. That not the strong black men. We see a black man that won't stand up for his family. We see a black man that is more. He'll stand up for some $100 shoes, a gold that got snatched off his necklace or something. But a brother that was shot, or police that terrorize the community, they won't stand up with that, and the black boys are picking up on it, and the black women are loving those guys. They love to see a guy that they say he'll beat your, you know what I mean, but when he say something about Marcus Garvey, then they want to turn here he come with the black on, that's all he wants. That's all it's about, so it's a clash, and it's one thing. The last point I want to say is because we don't as a society of black, it seems we're not making it an obligation to know our history. So I believe that's what it has boiled down to. you have to make this an obligation to for our people to indulge in our history, and it has to start when they're young. The parents they will have to glorify that in a way, say, hey, this is, you want to be a grown woman or you want to be a grown man, you have to know this history, and I believe we have to push it to that instead of not saying, hey, you want to dance like Beyonce or you want to, we have to shun those images that we know that are not beneficial to us as a whole, and we have to Dr. Ashra Kwesi and other scholars, we have to, make them our heroes. You know what I'm saying? In a light, but we have to change the dynamics of how we think, and it got to start with us.
But I hear you saying in a discussion leading to a relationship,
yeah,
that there must be an agreement that you will teach your children their history, especially your boys. I hear you saying that in your presentation. Do we have a caller, Isaac?
Yes.
Hey, come on in. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, Kazi, thanks for your call on the question of culture and competition. Thank you, Kazi. Thank you for your call. Thank you for your call. All right. He mentioned culture and competition. And one of the things that I thought about as he was speaking, much of what we talk about has to do with legislation. Jeffrey, the juvenile court system, and which Courtney exemplified that when he was here. And we see that this author talks about many brothers, African American men, are discouraged from marriage because of the juvenile court system. You have this guy sitting up there who calls himself white, a white judge, saying don't go back to your own house. We'll pay this amount and that amount. And I think Kazi and Bianchi spoke to that issue. And Jeffrey, how should we as a people proceed in terms of cultural competition and legislation in terms of those issues that make it difficult, like Lonnie pointed out, for African American men to provide for their families? They pointed out providing for your family, education, and your children. The last two callers, Bianchi and Kazi. Can you speak to that for us?
Well, definitely we see a phenomenon now here in 2016 that a lot of black men face when they have children outside of wedlock. Unfortunately, a lot of brothers feel that they are trapped, but at the same time, it's like a legal dance that you're playing that they want you to pay, but you don't really have the custody or the access to the kids the way that you would want. So I feel like the system sets it up for the black man for it to look like to our sisters that we generally don't want to be in our kids' life because Uncle Sam is, if we don't have that money, a lot of brothers we know now today are back and forth in prison because they're not able to provide or pay child support that is demanded by the courts. I think that's something that we as black people need to look at seriously and find a solution, because how is that man who is held at that standard to pay a certain amount or be faced with prison time, him being in prison if he's not able to do that because of a shortage of jobs or whatever the situation may be for the brother, how is him going back and forth to prison because of that, how is that benefiting the youth? So I think we as African Americans have to put a whole lot more effort and energy into creating our own values and norms, and not only that, if men, you should take care of your kids. You shouldn't have to leave it up to the courts to make you, take care of your children. That is your responsibility to protect and provide for them. That's first and foremost. But like you said, we're living in a society where our government and the powers that be are trying to take away the power of the black man or the leadership of the black man in the home. And I think that is one of the ploys that they have in place. I just got to be real. Some black men are taking advantage of that by our counterparts due to our sisters not understanding the scope and the tools and the strategies of white supremacy. So I just want to leave that there.
Okay, thank you. We've got a couple. I want to go to you, Omar, real quick, and that how does a group of people come to participate in the legislation process, such as lobbying, bringing in those who represent our issues? And what I don't understand is why so many of our people feel, what I'm hearing is a lot of hopelessness, a lot of feeling, emotions, and hopelessness And I'm not going to say no action, but I am going to say not enough action. Real quick, Omar, we're going to go to the call. We're going to be able to take one more call. 901-327-2500 after the next caller. Omar, go ahead.
You know, when you look at the political system in this country, what Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump are both saying is that the system is corrupt, and it is corrupt to the core. If a black man can get in the White House and have no power, and 8 years of no power, he can't do anything for his people. He can't do anything except for the people that have the power, which in this case was the gay and lesbian community. They had some power, and he did some things for them. He did some things for the Hispanics. He had a lot of those people to go through a process to become citizens, get their green card. He did some things for them, but he did nothing for us. He couldn't even hardly speak for us. And every time he tried to open his mouth, they put something in it. So you understand he's powerless. In this city with black mayors, back to back black mayors, Dr. Harrington got some things done, but he had a lot of people against him, especially in the white power structure. If you look at the Jewish people in this country that control the money, they don't give a 2 cents about who sits in the seat of power, because the money controls what they're gonna do when they get in the seat of power. It's just like mannequins in the store window. They look good, but they don't have any power. They can't move nothing. They can be moved, but they can't move nothing. So what we got to do is we got to control the money that goes to our community, and then we can control the power.
Window dressing. Oh, by the way, on June 18th, we're going to hold the Youth Leadership Conference at the Java Complex, by which we will talk about culture, economics, and politics. Following that, thereby, we will come back and do a workshop. But on the conference, Omar, Jeffrey, and Lonnie, we will try to volunteer, and I'll go first. Assume an assignment. It can be as small as you want it to be or as big as you want it to be. We can say we're going to go out and say, I love your natural hair. Or we can say, I'm going to design a program that will challenge white supremacy, etc. Come on, Carla, real quick. And this is, yes, sir. Thank you for your call, man. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. We're running out of time, Brother Moody. We're running out of time. Thanks for your call. But the voting process is something we've debated on this show on more than one occasion. And I think right here today we agree with you, Brother Moody, in terms of the voting process.
Yes, sir.
And as far as I'm concerned, all options are on the table, including reparations. And let's go for it.
Let's go for that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So then we still kind of messed up. We still kind of messed up. What happened? What were you trying to tell me, Jeffrey?
They couldn't hear. They couldn't hear us, but you know.
They couldn't hear the call. They couldn't hear the call.
Oh wow.
The listening audience couldn't hear the call. And
wow, on live. Are talking on live?
Mm-hmm.
Online.
Yeah, that's on live.
Could they see us? They'll see us.
Okay.
And they can see us and they can hear us.
They cannot hear us.
They couldn't hear y'all. They couldn't hear the call.
Yeah, they could hear us. They couldn't hear the call.
Right.
Okay, let me make sure I got this
That's how
right.
it was last time.
Let me make sure I got this right. The viewers looking at us on streaming live
They can hear us and see us.
But they could not hear the call.
Right.
Which we know they couldn't see the call.
Right, they couldn't hear the call.
So now, and
this was right here. This is what Shane them use when they do Uscreen. They have it hooked up right here where it goes right into the mic.